Wave 2 is here. We got 2 new products. You guys love the first series Cyberzone so much, we decided to make some new color variations just for you. We also have a brand new design for the winter season, where we have our second series, Winter Zero. And this time, it comes with different colorways right off the bat. The new drops are now live on the AVAULT store right away for pre-order, so be sure to check it out. Both new drops have single and 2-player versions as well. Do you guys know what ShineGreymon Ruin mode is really good for? Well, it's pretty obvious, because it ruins your opponent's day. Okay, so for our first matchup of the ShineGreymon deck today is going to be Yellow Vaccine, another very similar sort of like yellow type of base type of deck. Just so you guys know, I am playing a yellow base this time around because I really wanted to showcase and utilize the yellow Patamon from BT14 and show you guys how strong and how cool it really is overall. And I realized, you know, I never really like showcased the yellow base of this deck anyways, and I thought it was just a good showcase overall. And when it comes to our opening hand, we have really good cards to work with. We have Offense Training, we have the Patamon, which we can utilize, which is really good because when we see in a Patamon, we want to get into it as quickly as possible, and we can potentially turbo into our level 4s, which can get super crazy, and we're going to show you guys just in a bit. And in our early game, definitely Digivolve into it, and then we're just going to play this Marcus, the BT12 one, the 4 cost that can come out by itself by punching, just to like set up our board a little bit there. So of course, once we move out with the Patamon, it only just makes sense to search your security right away, and honestly, the BT13 GeoGreymon is probably not restricted then, because we found the one of in our security stack, which is absolutely insane. And there's actually a Marcus in our security stack there too, which we can actually play it out with its when Digivolving effect there at the same time. And our goal right here is we want to try and get rid of the Rise Greymon somehow this turn. If we can, then that would be perfect. And by doing so, you know, Padawan's helping us gain the memory back as well at the same time with all this real combo. Marcus will minus 3k to it as well, and having that yellow Koromon is really nice because when you suspend your tamer, it helps you minus another extra 1k, which can really help you hit the magic numbers to get rid of a perfect Digimon that you really need throughout the entire course of the game. Right here, you guys might be noticing we're just conversing back and forth. We're actually talking about the order of sequence of effects, because both Patamon and Marcus are starter main effects. And you know, the fact that I resolved Patamon first and then go into GeoGrey, you know, we're questioning at that time, like, can we have gotten into that Marcus to push out by paying 1 memory to come out? Now, we kind of resulted in the end that you can't, because at the time of the starter main phase, it was a Patamon, it wasn't an Agumon, neither a Greymon in its name. So, you know, we weren't too sure. But we also said, like, okay, but you Digivolved into GeoGreymon afterwards, so it kind of is. So what would it really be? But we decided to be more safe than sorry, because I just believe it was a Patamon, so I wasn't able to put out that Marcus, so I wasn't able to go for a more value play there, which is totally fine. We still end up getting rid of that Rise Greymon right there, as you saw. We could, because we Digivolved into our own. We played another 5 cost Marcus to minus another 3k, use the GeoGrey to pop the rest of it, or whatnot. Which we got rid of like the entire 7k anyways, which is really good for us. And we're sitting in a pretty good position here, as you guys can see. We got rid of their level 5 stack. We are able to set up even more now. We have Agumon at the back, and I'm deciding to try to chip away and swing here. And all I'm really missing is a level 6. If I found a level 6 a little bit earlier, we could have went hyper aggressive in that single turn, especially thanks to having that 4 cost Marcus. We can always just Digivolve into a level 6 for free there. But either way, we didn't. We eventually just hard played the Kudamon to search. Kudamon is also a really nice card to include, especially when you're playing the yellow base, because it can help you get 2 hits potentially, just like the other Agumon from BT12 to help you search. Ideally, you don't want to Digivolve your Kudamon in the back. You just want to hard play it because it doesn't have that name synergy, and it doesn't give you a red and yellow source to work with, especially when you sort of play offense training cards and your option cards. You want to make sure you're fulfilling the color requirements too, which is why I like to Digivolve into Agumon in the back. So then I can always make sure I can use offense training in this yellow base deck. Here the opponent just answers our board. They just cleared it all off, went into the Magna Angemon Ace, and went into Seraphi, taking us both down, all our bodies down, and we have nothing left to work with. other than the Agumon raising, but that should be fine. We have something to sort of counteract, which honestly it really swayed into their favor all of a sudden, because Yellow Vaccine is just equally as good at removing as ShineGreymon does. So what we're going to do is we're going to put out the Agumon, we're going to pay one to come out with the BT12 Marcus, and then we're also going to use the Agumon BT13 to put out the other Marcus, the 5-cost one out here. At this moment, we're actually missing a level 5, which is really big for us. And I was thinking whether if I should gamble and try to search with physical training and then see what I can work from there. But I was also thinking if there is a way with the current resources I have in my own hand to actually get rid of this Seraphimon, because if I can get rid of the Seraphimon, it's actually pretty good for us. There's actually an Ace Overflow Magna Angemon Ace underneath them for them, and we can get Ace Overflow back in 3 memory, then we're probably working very efficiently there. So what we're going to do first, we're going to swing in with the Marcus for 3k, and then we're going to minus 3k to the Seraphimon, but we're going to use the Koromon Inheritable to minus 1k to the Kudamon they have at the same time. So we're doing a lot of math here. And I'm swinging with the second Marcus. Honestly, this was a little bit of a suboptimal play with the BT12 Marcus, because I honestly didn't feel like I had to pay that extra memory just to make that extra swing, and especially I'm not going to Digivolve into it. Because I need that 3 memory, what I did was I'm going to play that Agumon, which makes that other 5-cost Marcus I had earlier on a Digimon, so I can swing, gain memory, minus another 3k to Seraphi, and then I finish it off with another 5-cost Marcus from my hand to minus it for another 3k, and then utilize the Inheritable underneath the GeoGreymon with the Agumon that lets you pop a 3k or less afterwards, and we gain the Ace Overflow after that, and we basically counter their board and got rid of their entire stack and passed them perfectly back to 3 with their memory TK there too. And our board is just as good setup here for the next turn, and we can just go for lethal. You guys can see how crazy ShineGreymon still is. It's crazy even without ShineGreymon because of all the Marcuses you can play, a lot of the DP reduction effects, you're gaining memory when you're suspending the 5-cost one as well, you're punching them down, and especially with your Marcus surviving through the securities, you know, there's absolutely nothing your opponent can really do, because then you just go for another barrage of Marcus attacks the next turn. Because next turn we have essentially 4 hits against their 2 security, and they're really stuck here. You know, they're really forced to do something at this point. You know, they go into Kaze, they either have to remove our board, what's on our board, or they have to recover security, or even do both in order to swing everything back into their favor. So it's definitely quite a sticky situation for them to be in. And this game is just super fast because ShineGreymon is just incredibly fast. Whether you're playing with the red base for consistency or the yellow base, you can ramp up to this stage very, very quickly. And yeah, it's just really, really, really cool because it feels like this deck is still just performing as well as it is, especially playing against a really strong hype deck of the BT14 format, a yellow vaccine deck as well at the same time. It's definitely putting them in a very sticky situation right here. If they're able to sort of like remove our stuff and then force us to rebuild, they're sitting in a pretty good position because they have a Patamon and they're raising as well, which they can come out after and sort of Digivolve, but it looks like they don't really find what they want. I think they needed like a Magna Angemon Ace or even like Emissary of Hope or some sort to sort of like really turbo Digivolve. So they passed us to 3 in the end anyways, and we're just coming out one at a time, using one of the Marcus to come out itself, coming out with the other one with Agumon's effect. We're going to swing, Digivolve into Rise Gray here, you know, God Hands, you know, top decked into another Marcus, played another one, getting rid of their stack all at the same time, doing a ton of checks, hiding back in security. You know, you guys can see how strong Shrine Gray really still is, and it doesn't matter because we can just swing for game with Rise Gray here just like that. Okay, so for our other game today, we're going to be facing against Blue Hybrid, which is going to be a pretty interesting matchup because Blue Hybrid is also pretty good at controlling, and it's also exceptionally good when we have no sources, which is quite a bit of a good counter against Marcuses and even Shine Gray at times. So we're going to see how this goes and certain matchups. I'm not too worried, you know, with the opening hand here. I did mention, you know, seeing Patamon is great, but we don't play a lot of Patamons in this deck overall. It is more of a Shine Gray Agumon based deck overall. So as long as we see like a rookie and sort of another one that we can sort of play and search and do all that combo stuff and find pieces, we're totally fine. We don't always have to go for a Patamon there. Because I always like to save the BT12 Agumon just to search and potentially get 2 hits you know, Digivolve into that GeoGrey BT12, and we get to play out that Marcus for free, which is really, really good value. And we have an Agumon sitting at the back at the same time. They decide to, you know, go for Gomamon, stripping away our source, which is really good for them because then we're not able to rack up effective inheritables as much than we normally do, which you guys even saw from last game too. And unfortunately, when they swung with the Gomamon, it gave us a free Marcus there with Memory Tamer, which is fantastic. And again, we're able to find our BT13 GeoGrey and try to like cycle through and look at our security and do a lot of crazy combos. You know, swinging with the other Marcus, BT12, to Digivolve into the Rise Grey for free. Unfortunately, hitting a Soul Ride, which stops all of our attacks for the rest of the turn. And we can't really do too much, so we're just gonna have to play like an offense training and pass them to as little memory as possible. And they gain a lot because of Sora and Joe, because of how good it really is. You know, now we have a Digimon on the board with no sources. They're gonna constantly gain memory again and again, and they can continue to control our board, which is really good, and continue to strip sources back to back. And it seems like they're trying to find pieces. We do notice that they found a Zudomon Ace, which is pretty good as well, because they can end up bouncing our stuff, bouncing our resources, and taking away additional sources at the same time. Again, it's very, very good effective control, and it can really slow us down. And, you know, it's a pretty good counter to our deck at times. So here, I think they're just contemplating what they want to do here. And what our position is still pretty okay because we have quite a bit of resources to work with. We have 2 Marcuses, we have 2 bodies on the board still, which we can Digivolve on top to sort of like play around some stunning effects. And it seems like they just really need to cycle for a card, so they try to go into Korikaku, thinking that they could have stunned, but honestly they couldn't have stunned anyways. But I believe they just really need to cycle for a card for Digivolve anyways. So we found ourselves a Patamon. We're gonna pay 1 to come out with Marcus here. We're gonna try to attack as much as we can while we still can, and see what we can kind of do. You know, the next turn we can promote with it, so we're pretty good setup. So here we're just trying to look into how we want to Digivolve and sort of like maybe try to give them a little memory to work with. Now there's no Sora Joe at the moment, it can be kind of beneficial for us. But either way, I had a plan because I was going to Digivolve as wide as possible. And that's the strategy when you want to play against Blue Hybrid generally, especially when it comes to like ShineGreymon deck. Again, whether which kind of base you play, you just want to make sure that you have, you know, Digimon with sources underneath, because you never know what you can check. And, you know, as long as there's Digimon with no sources, you know, they're gaining a lot of value. And a very good example is there with swinging into the Tommy. Because here, if we Digivolve the Rise Grey X on top of the other Rise Grey that we have building our stack, then that means we will lose all of our sources there. But you guys can see how I'm sort of like Digivolving widely. And that's what I meant. You know, you want to Digivolve, you know, separate stacks. So they're forced to make choices on what they want to take away your sources, and you don't want to commit all your, you know, resources into one stack because they can just end up stripping it all away from one Digimon, and that's not really the case. And we're able to remove the Korikakumon, which is very easy generally with all the combinations of DP reduction, deletion effects as well at the same time. And here they're just stuck in a very specific not as great situation, really. That's really it. And, you know, we can see they have a Syakomon at the back, which is actually really good counter against us, which stops us from using any training boosts to sort of like turbo, which delays us and slows us down a little bit. But that's kind of unfortunate because it's a little bit late. I think if they saw it a little bit earlier, that would have been better, so they could have promoted and stuff. I think here they're just contemplating how they want to control and sort of try to probably like clear board at the same time and try to, you know, survive as long as possible with Blue Hybrid. They do go into Kumamon, stripping away sources. Beowulfmon here, they can stun something, bounce something as well. Bouncing is actually not too bad for us because, you know, as long as we have access to it again, then we're still able to sort of ramp up and Digivolve, which is still really good. You know, if they bounce on Kudamon, we can potentially just play it again and then search, which is going to be pretty good value for us. If they bounce like a Rise Greymon, then as long as we can ensure ourselves to get into level 4, we can always get into that level 5 again and rebuild the stack that way. So they swung anyways, bounce, also stunned at the same time, and finished off with a Mirage Gao here, which is pretty efficient to bounce our other level 5. They just want to reduce the amount of damage we can deal to them the next turn here. You know, potentially trying to buy themselves one more turn could be really, really big for them. So either way, our game plan doesn't change. We're still going to promote the Patamon up here. We're going to try see if there's a way to finish the game. And we Digivolve into GeoGrey for free, which is really fantastic. Even though we don't get to play the Marcus for free because we have so many already, is really good. Again, we're just resolving the starter turn effect. So we do have a Rise Greymon X here this time on the board, so we can actually push that Marcus out anyways. You know, forgoing that the fact that there's a Patamon, because you can't push a Marcus out like that if you have don't have an Agumon or Greymon in his name. We're gonna see. I did misplay here a little bit because I was supposed to gain an extra memory with Patamon because I did put something back in the security stack. But that doesn't really matter too much in this particular game anyways, because we're actually going to close it out and find a way to play it even with the Ice Wall. So we're going to pay that too anyways, go into the ShineGrey here, and then the ShineGrey is going to push out that other Marcus. We're going to minus a ton of DP on the Mirage Gal here. We run into Sora Joe, which is kind of bad because that means they're going to gain a lot of memory next turn and they can sort of like counter back at us here. But we're not too worried. But like I mentioned, we're going to try and finish the game here, even with Ice Wall and even with the one less memory that we're supposed to have. The one, you know, the lack of the extra memory we're supposed to have. Because here I'm contemplating, hey, it's pretty simple. Because if I swing with Marcus, I gain a memory back anyways, and I pay 2 with Ice Wall. Depending on what that last check is, if it's not a Soul Ride, we can actually finish the game. Because, you know, only Soul Ride is really just going to stop us here at that point. So I'm just, you know what, let's just try to go for it, you know, because we can still get rid of that Mirage Gal anyways, and then we just swing with ShineGrey for game there, just like that.
If you guys enjoy gameplay videos like these, then be sure to check out more right here, right now. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.